Welcome to another edition of Courageous Conversations Live. I am your host, Pierre Quinn, and I want to thank you for joining me for another episode of Courageous Conversations, where we talk to leaders, we talk to entrepreneurs, we talk to creatives, we get their story, and we leverage their story so that we can lead with courage. Joining me on this episode is Daniel Russell Sr. Dan, thanks for being my guest today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, my friend.
I'm so excited about this conversation, so excited that we could share it primarily with my LinkedIn audience and LinkedIn family who loves to chime in the comment section. But we got some people hanging out on Facebook Live and YouTube Live as well. And I want to invite you, as you're hanging out and engaging, listening to us, hop in that comment section. We'd love to shout you out and even take some questions as Dan prompts some things in your mind. I know it's going to happen. So Dan, as we're getting started, give us the Cliff Notes version, that elevator pitch version, that commercial version of who you are and what you do.
Absolutely. So again, Dan Russell, I'm the National Director of Corporate Sales with Trion Solutions. We handle employee administration for several thousand employees across all 50 states. Just really helping business owners, small, large, handle the things that are just non-revenue generating issues and things within their company, whether it's payroll, whether it's HR. I mean, my goodness, in 2020, I don't know if there was a single business owner that did not have an HR issue of some type, right? Whether it was COVID, whether it was, some of the social injustice challenges and how they wanted to attack that. There are so many different things. And, we're just grateful that we have the opportunity to help business owners across the country. And then I'm humbled and honored that I'm an international public speaker. And I had the opportunity to work with business owners, young adults, and it runs the gamut. So it's awesome. One week I may be speaking to a university, and the next week I may be speaking to a very high level CEO or business owner. So I'm humbled and I'm grateful that I have the opportunity to touch so many lives on a daily basis.
Now, I'm looking in your office, and our audience live and who are watching the replay are looking in your office right now, and they see Michigan State basketball in the corner there. I'm from, Michigan as well. Yes. That might not be the basketball I would put in the corner of my office, but that's the one you got in your office. So tell us a little bit about Michigan State life, and then the early parts of your career and your leadership journey.
Yeah, I'm a diehard Michigan State guy. Football, track there years ago, and what I tell people, what I loved most about Michigan State was the diversity. I think for a lot of people, when you got up there, you were going to meet people from all walks of life. You were going to meet people that had come from the inner city. You were going to meet people that came from the country. You were going to meet people from a different country that, one of the first people I met was from Uganda. I'm like, when was the last time I met somebody from Uganda? But that was what I loved. It's a large school. It's a large campus, but it gives you an opportunity. As much as you want to get involved, you do. And I owe a lot of who I am today to Michigan State, because they made sure that they got you on your journey the right way. And if the opportunity was within you and you wanted it, it was there. So loved that, and it really prepared me, I think, for the world, because I think for many of us, even when you get into corporate America, you recognize everybody doesn't look like you. Yeah. And if you cannot learn to appreciate other people and their cultures and what makes them who they are, it becomes very difficult to work with people when you become so self-focused and really just living in your bubble. So love my Spartans and love Michigan State. And, again, it was definitely one of the things that catapulted me into my career. And, I think, as you know, Pierre, I started off, I was in the banking industry for a number of years. I was a vice president for Wells Fargo, Wachovia, National City, that went on to become PNC, and really, got to work with some great people, working with business owners, and really, really, really cut my teeth in that industry. And I think, again, it was a very big part of my success, because you had the opportunity to help people, but there were still restrictions. And when it really became a primary focus just to help people as much as I possibly could.
What's something that, you're matriculating through school, and you're on the cusp of your career? What's something about corporate life and professional workforce that, even though schooling was great, like no one could have prepared you for it until you were just dropped inside of it and had to figure out how to navigate it?
Well, I'll tell you, one of the things that I don't think people often remind younger adults or people in college or high school is relationships are everything.
Yeah.
My uncle used to say, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, right? So high school, college, it teaches you about garnering knowledge, passing tests, all those things are great. But I don't think the focus on relationships is as strongly emphasized as it should be. Because again, you come out of a small school, a large school, if you don't leave with relationships with your professors, with other students, with alumni, you've missed the mark. You paid a lot of money just to get a piece of paper and sharpen your education, but you missed probably one of the biggest portions, which is the alumni relationships, which is the relationships you garner with other people at that school. You come out and people want to help fellow alumni, and they want to open up doors. And I recognize even now in my career, successful people want to give back.
Yeah.
We want to help others. We want to open that next door for that person who is just looking to get their foot in the door. We want to help. And so I think, through college, that was one of those experiences that people didn't tell me. People didn't tell me, what your family name would mean when somebody said, oh, you're this person's nephew or that person's son, or even the connections. 6 degrees of separation. I used to hear about that all the time.
Yeah.
I've strived in my career to be 1 degree of separation, at least in my own backyard here in Michigan. And if I've made a conscious effort that if I really wanted to help someone, I should be able to make one phone call and be connected to anyone, at least in my state. And I better be able to make 2 and connect you with anybody in the country if I truly am here to help you.
Wow. Yeah. Aaron Owens checking in on LinkedIn said relationships are key. Networking is key. And that's part of the reason why we're having this conversation primarily on LinkedIn, because as we shared before we went live, many cases you're just one conversation away. Yeah. Now, can you frame that up for us in the context of what you do in sales, but also as throughout your professional career? A lot of individuals are on the job hunt. They're the Indeeds, remember back in the day, Career Builder and Monster.com, and just looking for an opportunity. What's the insight that you can give on how do we navigate those pieces?
Yeah.
Especially considering maybe we don't have a strong network yet. Well,
as I mentor young adults, people in the job force who they're really looking to, like you said, land that next job. The first thing that I tell people is stop looking for a job. Job stands to me for just over broke.
Wow.
Don't look for a job. You see that person, and listen, and I'm going to say we've all gone to McDonald's and seen that very, very upset person who that wasn't their career path.
Yeah.
They're upset. They're asking you what you want, and they're angry, and you're like, listen, I'm sorry. I don't know if you're having a bad day or just this career choice has really upset you. But at the same time, I always remind people that, before COVID, when we were able to go in and maybe have a coffee at McDonald's, I always would find that sweet little old lady who was working at McDonald's, who wanted to come by and refill your coffee and sit and have a conversation with you and ask you about how your day was and your family. And those people used to just warm my heart because they loved what they did. They were working at McDonald's and they loved people. They loved interacting with people. They loved connecting with people. So before you go out and look for a job, figure out, what do you really want to do? What's your passion? What drives you? Because now when you go into that interview, it's not fake. You're not trying to be something you're not. You're not trying to say some things just because you're trying to land the job. People can tell that. People can see when passion comes across. And then I'm going to tell you, be okay with being unique, right? I don't want my resume to look like everybody else's resume. I don't want my job application to look the same. You know what? Do things that other people aren't willing to do. Maybe send that letter, make that extra phone call, send that personalized email. Maybe make your resume look a little bit different from what they expect. If nothing else, you're going to stand out. And so what I would say is, for those people that are really looking, number one, find your passion and chase that. The money will follow. And number two, tell me or tell that business owner or that hiring manager why you're different, because that's what people are really looking for. I don't want a stack of resumes and hiring the same person I just had to let go, or the person that just quit. I want somebody different. I want somebody better. I want somebody unique. That's what people are looking for now. And especially post-COVID, listen, business is not business as usual, right? There were companies that were on autopilot and they were very successful. And all of a sudden, the entire dynamic of our world has changed. So we heard the word pivot so much in the last, 12 months.
Yeah.
Okay, so where are you pivoting to? What fresh ideas can you bring to a company to maybe help them get out of where they've fallen to? What new ideas can you bring that maybe are things that the business owner themselves had not even thought of yet? That's what people are looking for. And you hear all of this talk about diversity and inclusion and all of those phrase words. But here's the thing, what people are looking for is, bring me something different. Bring me a unique, creative idea. That's what somebody wants. They don't want the same old, same old.
No, I was on LinkedIn and it was someone that posted, he said he got a strange message. I don't know if it was a PayPal invoice or Venmo invoice, and it was from an individual looking for a career opportunity. And I think that he get a screen capture of the Venmo invoice, and it said $50,000, and he said underneath it said copywriting gig, and the person said this communication was so unique. We interviewed him ASAP, because he was willing to come from a different direction. You got some people out there, Dan, that are saying, but what if I take a chance? What if I put myself out there? What if I present my uniqueness? What if I show up as my full self and it doesn't work out? I get rejected. I don't get the career opportunity, or I get shut down. What do you say to people who have that floating through their minds?
I would say this. What if you do all of that and it does work? Right? I would say this. It's no different than going on your first date with somebody. Okay, so if I go on my first date and I try to make myself everything I'm not, and I'm trying to pretend to be this person and I'm trying to fit in this role, well, you might as well hire the divorce attorney now, because inevitably that person's going to say, hey, Pierre, I'm looking for the old Pierre. I'm looking for the Pierre on that first date. Be that guy.
Yeah.
And you're basically saying, well, I really sold you a bag of goods. I'm not really that guy. Okay. But how about you show up and see, this is me. It's funny. People laugh. They're like, Dan, do you ever take your suit and tie off? Very rarely. This is who I am. Like, sometimes I'm out after work or whatever, and people go, man, relax. I go, I am relaxed. This is me. Like, now you'll catch me in t-shirts, shorts, and, on the weekend or a ball game or whatever, but I'm comfortable in this just as much as I am in that. But if I'm trying to pretend to be comfortable in this, and you want me to wear a suit and tie every day, and this is, well, eventually I'm not going to like my job.
Yeah.
But like you said, show up as who you are. I listened to Eric Thomas one time, and Eric was talking about, he had gone to a meeting, and he was sitting in a meeting with some billionaires and multimillionaires around the room. And he said he had to stop and look and say, am I going to change who I am? Now, E.T. is very true to who he is. He said he showed up in his tennis shoes, his T-shirt, his baseball cap. That's E.T. And he does not change for anyone, even though he had a billionaire sitting in the room with them, a couple of them.
Yeah.
He didn't change. So now if somebody says, I want to do business with Eric Thomas, or I want to hire Eric Thomas to come speak to my company, guess what? He's the number one motivational speaker in the world, and he's true to who he is. So it's the same with me, right? It's the same with all of you. I'm not going to get on this, Facebook, LinkedIn Live and try to be somebody I'm not.
Yeah.
What you see is what you get. If you see me at the grocery store, this is what you get. You see me at church, this is what you get. You see me at my office, this is what you get. And, I think people just have to be comfortable in their own skin. And if you're worried about being yourself and being rejected, that's great. Be happy, because that rejection was going to come eventually when they finally figured out who you really were. And just know that when you do find that opportunity and you were your true self, then get ready to shine, because all you have to do is wake up and be you.
Man. I love it. I love it. And we got people showing up. I see them watching. Feel free to hop into the comment section. Leave us a comment. We love to shout you out. Even if you got a question for Dan. If you stop the scroll, you're watching Courageous Conversations. I'm your host, Pierre Quinn, and we're talking to Dan Russell Sr. And we're just having this casual conversation to help you lead with greater courage. So, Dan, tell me, there's a lot of leaders in the past year or so who said, I didn't sign up for this. I didn't sign up to lead in a world of COVID. I didn't sign up to lead in a world where spread across the news media are the cries out for help with the social injustices of the world. I didn't sign up to lead through a highly charged political climate, through a shifting economy. I just wanted to do my job. I didn't sign up for this. Some people are even looking for the exit door, but there are some people who are saying, even though I didn't sign up for it, I'm willing to stick it out, but I don't know where to go. I don't know how to start these conversations. I don't even know how to talk to my team outside the context of the immediacy of our job. What have you seen that some of the most successful leaders have done as they've navigated these uncertain times?
Well, what I'm going to say is, first off, leaders lead.
Yeah.
It's what we do. You can't always choose the environment that you're leading through or within, but the fact remains, if you're a leader, you're built to lead. And I think what I've seen in the last 12 months is, first off, some people have realized that they are leaders. You don't have to be an international motivational speaker or on TV and getting interviewed all the time to be a leader. Yes. Is that one element of being a leader? Absolutely it is. But you're a leader in your house. You may be leading your husband or your wife. You may be leading your children. You may be leading in your community. You may be a coach leading young adults and mentoring them when they don't have a father figure or mother figure at home. Maybe they've got a rough life. Who cares how much money that they have? You don't know the problems that some people are going through. You may be a leader and a mentor within your workplace, and people look to you for that positive attitude every day. And they're not telling you the situation they're going home to.
Yeah.
They're not telling you the medical issue that they're battling. And so you don't realize sometimes what just a bright, positive attitude can bring into a relationship or even a workplace. And what I'll say now is, as you said, Pierre, people said, hey, I didn't sign up for this. This was not part of the playbook. I haven't read a book that talked about all of these things. And here's what I'll say. We just celebrated Martin Luther King Jr.'s holiday on Monday. Listen, a lot of the playbook has not changed. It's just a matter of, what are we going to do? He said the time is always right to do what's right, right? He said darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that. Listen, that model has not changed, right? We still have to wake up, and there are people that have asked me, Dan, hey, what's your thing? What's your secret? Well, I wake up every day and my goal is to help as many people as I can within 24 hours. That's it. It stops there. And so that day, it's recognizing it may be my wife or one of my 6 children that I'm supposed to help that day. It may be, and for leaders listening right now, it may be I have to help myself today. It may be that I have to take some quiet time and get my own mind right and get focused and get locked in before I can go help anyone else. It may be that day that I just have to get out of my own first world bubble and go into the inner city and give some people some pizza. Go buy some hot and readies and hand out 5 pizzas. If you haven't done it before, do it. It's amazing what it will do for you. It may be going to a soup kitchen and volunteering. It may be pushing yourself to say, let me stop and think about some of the people that have really been affected by this, right? We know about the people who've lost their jobs and businesses that are shuttering, but what about homeless youth, right? What about people like that? What about these kids in inner city communities or rural communities that don't have the internet to just jump online and have class, via Zoom? What about the person that doesn't have a parent at home to help them with those things? What about young adults or, children that need that mentor out there? You can still choose where you want to lead. And so what I try to inspire people to do is, again, go back to that same thing I said about when you're looking for a job, what's your passion? What's your thing? And then go serve there. So maybe you're not taking on, the political challenges right now. Maybe you don't want to touch that. Okay, that's fine. Still go make an impact in your community. Still make the world a better place. Sometimes it's as simple as just leading with your own family, right? When you look at something like racism and prejudice and things like that, where did it come from? It comes from your house. It comes from your environment. People are not born prejudiced or racist. They're born with open eyes, ready to love and welcome other people. But guess what? Just like Diane just said, you can choose where you want to lead. You absolutely can choose. So you choose that, I'm just going to lead my own children. How about you sit back and have a conversation with your kids about what you believe and maybe how you view other people. There are people that are running around now that their mentality has been formed by kids at school or other people because their parents never had the conversation with them. I was humbled the other day that my 11-year-old, it just so happened that within the midst of the crazy life, I was grabbing a coffee on Saturday morning and he was sitting there and he started talking about MLK. And I just stopped. I sat my coffee down and I said, okay, well, what have you learned about MLK? And we got a chance to sit and have a very, very powerful conversation. And I looked, he wasn't looking at his cell phone. He wasn't worrying about the next YouTube video. He sat, and when I tell you it went from everywhere, from Martin Luther King and him hearing that Malcolm X was eventually influenced by MLK to asking about Harriet Tubman. And I'm going, my goodness, this is awesome. But who better from him to hear from than his own father? So I would just say for people that are really struggling with, I didn't choose this, right? I've had some African-American individuals come up to me and say, hey, Dan, I'm glad you're doing what you're doing to bring people together and to promote unity and inclusion, but I didn't sign up for this. I don't want to be the person at my job that's speaking for all Black people. Yeah. I didn't ask for that. That's okay. And it's okay that you don't want to be that spokesperson at your job. It's fine. But then what are you doing? So I'm just saying, be that positive light, be that impact, be that person that maybe gives someone a different perspective on a woman, on an Indian American, on a Hispanic American, on an African American, as a Caucasian, right? All of a sudden, just the fact that you have an open conversation and you're showing another person that love that can actually drive out hate, that is leading in and of itself.
I feel like organizations miss the mark in many ways as we navigate it throughout the year. And I understand to a certain degree the hesitancy. We live in cancel culture and you don't want to get canceled for whatever reason. But when COVID first became an all-encompassing reality, I got information, I got emails from every company I think I've done business with in the past 3 years. We're going to do whatever we can to make sure that, safe, everything is safe.
Yeah.
But then as more things happened throughout the year, there was this almost radio silence where, okay, there are other issues and challenges going on in our world that are exacerbated by COVID, but I'm not hearing from the PR teams and the crisis communication firms for these major organizations, or even smaller. I work with clients and we were doing leadership coaching and leadership development. They would say, I haven't heard from even our executives in response to what's going on in the world. Why do you think so many organizations miss that opportunity? And how can, for those of us who are executives or on leadership team who are watching, how can we begin to have these intentional conversations that provide some perspective on the work that we're doing, regardless of industry?
That's a great question. And I think you nailed it when you said, I think so much came at us so fast last year.
Yeah.
Right. COVID was one thing that is something we've never seen in history. There was no playbook for it. And whether, we were looking at Washington, D.C. or even our own local states to see how we were each handling it, I felt for anyone having to make a decision, because you weren't going to win. You were going to make somebody upset.
Yeah.
Right. If you said we're opening businesses back up, you had somebody telling you, how dare you? My grandfather just died because of this. You're not shutting the businesses down and keeping us safe. On the other hand, you shut businesses down trying to keep people safe, and you got business owners saying, I can't put food on my table right now. And this business that I've put 50 years of my life into developing, it now just went under because you won't let me open up. And so, wow, I can't go to sleep with that. My goodness, like you're basically telling me I'm hurting somebody either way. Oh my goodness, like that challenge is hard. So I think the same thing happened for businesses, where businesses said, okay, wait a minute, we've got COVID, and then all of a sudden, here comes Black Lives Matter. Here comes the election. Oh my goodness. Those three things individually on their own, it was enough.
Yeah.
But we had it all at the same time. So I think you had a certain group of people in organizations that stepped to the side and said, let me see how everything shakes out first before I do anything. I think you had another group of organizations that said, I'm very worried about what could happen. They were waiting for the next shoe to drop. And they basically said, I'm not putting money into anything else other than trying to keep our doors open and keep our employees safe. And right now that's priority number one, and that's focus number one. But now what I'm going to say is as you said, so now what? For the leaders, for the executives, for the people in positions to make change, okay, guys, now we have to do it. And you have to be intentional. You use that word, Pierre, and that's truly what it is. You have to be intentional about what you want to do. So, okay, you say you want to increase diversity in culture. What does that mean? Does that mean you hired one other person that doesn't look like the rest of your organization? Is that a checked box? Is that an A+? Maybe you're in a community that there are just no minorities. I've had some companies that have called me and they've said, Dan, we can't get applicants. Like we're trying. We'd love to hire minorities, but we can't get applicants because of the community we're in or the community we serve, or the population of applicants that are minorities is very small. What do we do? Well, for organizations like that, maybe you change your focus, because increasing diversity and inclusion may not mean that you're hiring somebody tomorrow that's Asian American or African American or maybe a female, or maybe, right? You have to say, what if we create a job fair? What if we create a mentorship program? What if we create an internship? What if we actually are an IT marketing company and we're going to go into a rural community or an inner city community, and we're going to help to develop the knowledge of this industry? Maybe we're going to let people do a summer internship when they're in high school so they know about this industry. So maybe you're the first person to tell that kid what they can do. How fantastic. So now maybe what diversity and inclusion looks like in a textbook is not what you're doing, but you're still making an impact. You're going into an underserved community and you're helping. Maybe it's just time. Maybe it's not financial resources. There's different things that you can do. You know, I work with an organization called Winning Futures, and they are a youth mentorship program, and they partner with high schools and companies where companies will bring their leaders into a high school, and they mentor these kids for almost a full year, and they have a scholarship program. But this kid is sitting there looking at a high-level executive that is committed to being there once a week for an hour. And man, they're finding out about what the automotive industry looks like, what the medical career could be. And somebody for once is sitting down with this kid, talking to them, telling them they can be something. You know, everybody didn't have the parents that you had and that I had. And so sometimes it's our call to be that parent. It's to be that voice of reason, that voice of motivation, just telling somebody you can be more than maybe what you are today, even if no one's ever told you that. So I would say for the leaders right now, take a step back and say, we can't tackle the whole problem at once, but we can all make steps. And if we all make steps, we solve the problem. But if we all sit on the sidelines and watch, I personally don't know how to be a spectator of life, because I figured out that, you know, life is not a game that you're going to win. Right. When the game ends, that's you only can look back and see what you did with the opportunity you had. So, you know, this is one of those that you have to say, what do I want my legacy to be? What do I want my kids to say I do? What do I want my community to look at me and say, who is Pierre Quinn? What is Pierre Quinn doing for the world? So when his ride is over, what can he turn around and look at his life and say, this is what I did with the opportunities that were presented to me? I think so many of us are just getting through life on a daily basis, and we're missing the opportunity to truly make an impact for generations.
In your role, Dan, I know we're almost out of time with this conversation, but in your role, how much of your role as a sales leader that's offering business solutions includes conversations around things that aren't necessarily related to the product offerings? Like you're talking mental health, and you're talking mentorship, and you're talking effective communication. And I come to you thinking I need a business solution. I need software. I need a framework. But in the course of the conversation, you're saying, yes, you need these solutions, and you need a shift in organizational culture as well. And how often do you take the opportunity to share that insight with the people who approach you for the services that your organization, that Trion, provides?
Well, and I'm thankful, because our team here at Trion, we recognize that, right? We recognize that so many of those things are intertwined. You know, you talk about your employees being your greatest asset and resource. Okay, but are you connecting with your employees? Have you even taken the time to figure out what makes your employees tick? Have you taken the time to stop and figure out what makes you tick? So, you know, for what we do and what I do, I'm thankful that through my role here, I have that opportunity to still get out and speak to millions of people and have conversations like I'm having right now with you and the listeners, because that really is helping corporate America. You know, we're helping people, like you said, it is mental health sometimes. Sometimes it is just strategy and leadership planning, and helping people to navigate these changing times and waters that it's tough. There's no playbook. And somebody may listen to you and I and say, that's exactly what I was looking for. Great. Now we're able to help them on their journey. They may listen and say, that didn't really apply to me. That's okay. It's going to help somebody else. But you know, I've got the opportunity on a daily basis to talk to presidents, CEOs, which is fantastic, because I can come back, and when I sit on a panel or interviewed like this, I can tell you what high-level CEOs are thinking about. Right? I'm talking to CEOs that are telling me, Dan, I don't know how to address that some of my clients may be making my employees feel uncomfortable about their culture and race. It's one thing to handle your own organization, but what happens when your client is the one that is treating your employee negatively because of their sexual orientation or the color of their skin or their gender. Then what? So that's really the next level of these conversations. And the part that I'm encouraged about and excited about is I've got more people asking me those questions now, asking me to speak, asking me, Dan, we need to make a difference, and we really want sustainable change, and we want to be intentional about it. Those conversations excite me because it's one of those things that I don't ever get sick of talking about this stuff, because I want this to be my legacy. When I take a look back, when my children's children have a chance to pull up this video, I don't want them to see somebody that was just talking about, hey, Trion, we can help you with payroll and HR and employee benefits. And that's great. And that's what we do. And we can help businesses, and that's fantastic. But we also want to say, let us help that organization truly make a difference in society. Let me help that CEO, or maybe let me help, as I come in and speak to an organization, that person who just nailed that job, to feel comfortable being bold in saying, I've got an idea, or I don't agree, and here's why. Sometimes it's just inspiring people to speak up and helping people to know that they can truly make a difference. I think that recently I've noticed more and more people, I think in 2020, got so discouraged. And I think as things were restricted and as things were limited, and dare I say, some of their freedoms were not recognized, and they were saying, wait a minute, I can't do this. You're telling me I can't do this. I think a lot of people got very discouraged in the fact that they almost thought that I really can't make a difference. And the moment you start feeling that way, you're right. You won't make a difference.
Yeah.
But the moment that you recognize that every word that you say, everything that you do on a daily basis is going to impact someone's life, even if it's just yours. So you have a responsibility. Like you said, Pierre, earlier, maybe you didn't sign up for it, but you're in that position now. So you can make a choice what you want to do, but do something. Make change, make a positive impact. Let's not talk about the problems anymore. I think 2020 was full of social media posts on, people saying how, Black Lives Matter was good, Black Lives Matter was bad. This was good. Blue Lives Matter is great, Blue Lives Matter is bad. Just stop, right? Okay, now what are we doing? Stop talking.
Yeah.
The time to talk is over. The time to act is now. The time to post on social media is over. The time to actually go out and do something is now. That's where we're at now. The people who want to talk about it will keep talking.
Yeah.
But the people who now need to just make something happen, listen, we can complain about elections. We can complain about social injustice. We can complain about COVID. Okay, these are all things that, unfortunately, I don't think the government is going to call you or I tomorrow. Now, I'm not going to say they're never going to call me, because I'm never going to put that out, because, hey, I'm not going to be surprised if it does happen one day for one of us.
Yeah.
And that's how I believe. I just believe bigger, and I hope bigger. But I think people need to recognize, you make a change in your backyard, that will make a change with COVID. That will make a change with social injustice. That will make a difference at the government level, because you have a voice. We are so blessed that we live in the United States of America, where we have a voice. Use it.
Dan, we touched a lot of things in this conversation today. And I know you play in a lot of different sandboxes. You have your role at Trion, you have your entrepreneurial ventures, you have mentoring and coaching. You also have the speaking aspect of your life.
Yes.
And after watching this live, you're watching the replay of this, and we're looking to get in contact with you. Something that you said kind of just sparked something inside of us. Who are the types of individuals now that should click on your profile or go to trionworks.com or send you an email, who you're looking to really reach out and connect to at this stage for you?
Well, I'll say this, other leaders.
Yeah.
If you've heard me and you say, Dan, I think you could help in this area, I'm not going to turn away a person that says, I just need some guidance and some advice, because somebody did it for me. People do it for me. I'm blessed and humbled at some of the mentors that God has brought into my life. I'm thankful. And so now that I have that same opportunity to give back, I would say if you are someone that's struggling with maybe what to do, how to lead, I'm happy to talk to you. If you're a leader and you're a president, you're a CEO, and you say, I'm not really sure where our company is headed, and I'm looking at it, and I don't know if this is really what I signed up for when I first started my business, and I'm not going to settle with tomorrow can just be the same as today. I'm happy to talk to that person. And if somebody says, hey, Dan, I was encouraged by what you said, would you speak to my organization? Listen, like I said, I'm humbled that I've had the opportunity to speak to multiple countries. And it's still humbling to say that I've had the opportunity to be a motivational speaker on an international level. Yeah. If I can help and you feel that my message can help your organization, your community, I'm happy to do so. So please feel free to reach out, and I'm happy to connect.
We know on LinkedIn, Dan, we can just type your name and click on your profile, and I'll drop that link in the description as soon as we get off the live. But really quickly, give us your email address for the people who are like, I don't know if I want to click on this LinkedIn profile.
No, that's perfect. No problem. Yeah, it's D Russell. So again, D and then RUSSELL, and that's at trionworks.com. So TRIONWORKS.com. And please feel free to reach out, even if the message was just encouraging. Yeah. I love to hear that, and I know Pierre does as well, because listen, I'm going to finish with commending you, Pierre, because here's the thing. I think what you're doing right now is the thing that I would love to see more leaders do. We have to have more content. We have to share the message. We have to come together and recognize our voice is not the only one. We have platforms. 20 years ago, we couldn't do what we're doing right now.
Yep.
20 years ago, we would be limited to who's going to show up to this event, who's going to pay or register and come to the hotel to hear us speak. Now we've got this. We can reach people worldwide with these platforms. So what I would say is continue to do what you're doing. For those people that are watching that were inspired by this, continue to support Pierre and his endeavors. And again, whether your organization can be helped in what he does, I'll tell you, we've got to support one another.
Yeah.
We've got to push each other up. We have to be willing to understand that, I have a quote on my board right now that says, "You can't beat me." And then underneath it says, "Because I want you to win too."
Wow.
Right. My mentality is I'm not competing with you.
Yeah.
Right. When somebody asked me the other day, they said, "Hey, so like Eric Thomas, he's the #1 motivational speaker in the world, man. Are you ready to take him?" Listen, man, Eric Thomas, I love listening to his stuff, and he'll motivate me. Yeah. And I'm a believer, and I've had a chance to speak with him. You know what? Maybe I may say something one day that encourages him.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm able to touch somebody or reach somebody that can't receive it from him. I'm not trying to compete with anybody, because I want all of you to win. Yeah. That's the difference with success. Successful people don't have to push you down for them to come up. That's where I just think, Pierre, I want to encourage you to continue to do what you're doing. And those people that have watched, they've gone back and looked at this even after it was live, I'm going to commend you, because you just took 44 minutes out of your day to become better.
Yeah.
So now let's do something with it.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Dan, thank you so much for being my guest on Courageous Conversations Live. And if you're hanging out with us live, thank you so much for rocking with us throughout this conversation. If you're checking out the replay, hop in the comment section as well. We love to connect with you and connect you with Dan and all the amazing guests that we've had on Courageous Conversations Live. We've had Diane, who's been on the show. We got Aaron coming up in a little bit as well. And as Dan said, talk only gets you so far. You got to do something about it. So we'll see you next time.